Hey guys, it's towniesimbuilds here, and welcome back to another bite-sized build. Now, as you can tell from the title of today's video, we are working on a medieval-inspired starter home. So yes, you heard that right, this is a starter home, and this is actually the very first one I've ever done. Normally when I work on designs in The Sims 4, I usually have no regard for budget at all, so this was definitely new to me. I definitely had to thank Debug to make this possible, sticking within that roughly $20,000 budget, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, here we are. We are currently located in the world of Windenburg. And if this lot looks very familiar to you, it definitely should. This was actually the spot of the very first speed build I did. And I think on this lot, I created a tiny home Gothic Victorian. So yeah, I was kind of sad to bulldoze it. I normally don't like bulldozing my own creations, but honestly, I love this lot. And if you guys build in Windenburg, you do notice that there are a lot of very Tudor-esque builds around. So I thought this was very fitting, but this could also work very well in the world of Hendford-on-Bagley. Now, I do also want to note that this build is not going to be 100% historically accurate. In fact, most of the inspiration for this actually came from Disney films. So if you guys have watched a lot of the 2D animated classics, probably along the lines of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or Beauty and the Beast, this is very much in that style. So I would say roughly in the period of the Middle Ages, maybe transitioning into the Renaissance. In the words of Belle, this is very provincial, if I'm using the right terminology. And overall, I just wanted to make this lot very fun and whimsical and kind of overgrown as well. So I guess in my head, canonically, I thought perhaps some farmers could live here. I do make a garden towards the back. And the whole lot itself is actually designed for the off-grid challenge. So if you guys do enjoy using that challenge, or if you guys do enjoy perhaps creating more historical families in The Sims and trying to get away from modern life, this could be the potential lot for you in your gameplay. But anyways, here we go. We're using a lot of get-together and cottage living here. So I do use the stone or masonry wallpaper from the get-together pack for the first floor, and then using the wood panels for the second and semi-third floor. It's not really a third floor, but it is the texture of the roof itself. I did use cottage living for the windows and of course the ivy, and then most importantly those large thatched roofs as well. I do really enjoy those little roof pieces. I did use some from cottage living as well, and I do even put in a small rooster or chicken later on in the build as well. So it's a little bit farther along. I do go back and add more to the outside, but we will get to that in a little bit. But anyways, for this very first starter home, I did want to go kind of out of the box. Probably different, not so suburban. I'm just not really into the whole family house building type of theme, if you will. It's just not really my style. I do like to create things that are a little bit more dynamic. If you do like playing with occults, for example, historical families, or you just like old-fashioned houses, hopefully this could be for you. But yes, we're inside now. We're working on the kitchen area, and I gave the kitchen area a little bit of elevation. I didn't want this to be just a very plain open floor plan, if you will. But yeah, unfortunately the dining space is kind of jammed in there with the kitchen, so I imagine that this could be perfect for either one sim or a couple. But I do think it is still pretty cozy nonetheless. Now I will say there will be some changes. I do use the get-together dining table and chairs originally, but I do think I go back and swap them out for the Jungle Adventures chairs. So Jungle Adventure or Jungle Adventures does sneak in here just a little bit, because I do really enjoy some of the pieces from that pack as well. Going on in, we do have a very large stone fireplace, and then I also make use of the cottage living rug, and also this very interesting semi-gothic bench, I believe, from the Get Together pack. And then just using the Jungle Adventures table here with some books from Cottage Living and also the lantern from the Jungle Adventures pack as well. I will say that the inside is a little bit retrofitted, so not 100% medieval ages. I do believe that this would be a very historical sort of preserved building, if you will, that has been renovated just a little bit to incorporate probably more objects from, I guess, the last century or so. But yes, here we are. I did have to delete the walls to add in these pans. I figured that if this was a little bit more of an old-fashioned home, perhaps there could still be something cooking in the cauldron in the fireplace. So I do hang the pots and pans there. I do try out these plaques from the cottage living pack, but ultimately I go with the wreaths from the same pack as well, just to add a little bit of decoration on the wall there, and then going in and adding some pillars as well. Aha, yes, so here we go, you guys. This is what I mentioned. I do use the Jungle Adventures chairs here. I do think they fit the whole medieval theme fairly well, so I did want to use those. And then going up to the second floor now. The second floor pretty much contains the one and only bathroom, again, using all of the off-grid objects. Honestly, I love designing for off-grid, but I just wish that there were more options. But yeah, I think it does do the trick. So we have a bathtub from base game, the toilet and mirror from base game, and then also the cottage living sink there as well. I also use a lot of the mason jars from cottage living, sticking with the off-grid theme, and of course those really cool rustic lanterns from the Jungle Adventures pack as well. Going into the bedroom, I did make the bed a little bit more grandiose, I would say, a little bit more ritzy, probably more akin to medieval royalty, I guess I would say, because there really just isn't a good option for a more rustic bed. I did want to use the option from cottage living, but it just didn't really fit the vibe. Anyways, I do squeeze in a little base game dresser in the corner, and also a base game oil painting to complete the room. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the inside. It was honestly a very fast build, but now I'm just going back in and adding some thatched roof details, and also adding in the chimney as well. And there we go with the little chicken or rooster as the finishing touch, before we go into the backyard area. So like I said, if I'm sticking with the more, I guess I would say provincial lifestyle, as Belle would say, the sim that would live here is definitely more of a gardener or farmer. So I did want to take advantage of those really large plots from the cottage living pack. So I kind of had to squeeze it in there. I had to shift a lot of the debug landscaping that I had originally. But I do think there is ample space here if your sim is growing fruits and vegetables, maybe some herbs that they can potentially grow and sell to make a living perhaps. Just going in now and adding in some base game debug flowers, if I'm not mistaken. So I did think the lot needed a little bit of color. It was very brown and cream, so I thought these flowers did the trick. And I'm just patting them in along the Get Together debug shrubs, which honestly I love. The debug in Get Together is probably one of my favorites, along with cottage living, especially if you love doing very overgrown, overgrown natural landscaping, I'd call it. I do pull in more of these fences from Get Together and just putting in some more shrubbery. So yeah, I will say that this lot, if you guys are playing in Windenburg, it probably will stick out a little bit. This is still a very Tudor-esque style part of town, but this is probably something that would be very much at home in the world of 𝗪𝗛𝗏𝗪𝗡𝗠. But regardless, I love this lot, and I do think that this build and overall the cottage itself still matches the environment of this area of Windenburg. So hopefully you guys do enjoy using it here or in the world of 𝗪𝗛𝗏𝗪𝗡𝗠. Whatever you choose, I hope this does fit your very eclectic household if you do like playing more historical or even just a little bit more old-fashioned, I guess I would say. Anyways, just going back in now and adding a few final details to make this a little bit more akin to a farmer. So I do use the pitchfork object from the Get Together pack, adding it along the wall there, eventually adding in this very interesting well. So pulling more of those really awesome debug objects that are of course free, so sticking within that very precise budget, if you will. I do also complete the walkway with a few more base game debug stepping stones, and using this bicycle object from the cottage living pack as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't function, but I thought it was very fitting for the Sims who could live here. And then going in now and adding some last minute details. So I'm pulling the cracks from the Jungle Adventures pack And normally when I do add these, I do want to make sure that they correspond on either side. So if there are cracks in the inside in certain spots, I do want to match those on the outside as well. Now at this point, I'm trying to stay within budget. I think I had to delete the shoe rack, and I just resituated some lanterns on the inside. Going back out, just throwing in some more debug grass. I really wanted to make this feel very realistic because the lighting here was amazing. It fits so well, and that pretty much wraps up the lot itself. Alright guys, and that is a wrap on the medieval inspired starter home in the world of Windenburg. As always, you know I love hearing all of your thoughts and feedback. Hopefully if you guys do enjoy this starter home, I may create some more interesting ones in the future as well. Just like always, this is still a no CC, no mod limited pack build, and will be available on the Sims 4 gallery as well. As always, this has been 𝗧𝗛𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗚 signing off. Thank you so much for watching, guys.